Alright, Deadheads, I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is I did read issue 147, so I can do a quick review on it. The bad news, well, for me, is I wasn't able to get the issue, which is driving me nuts. This is like the first time in about 2.5, 3 years that I wasn't able to get the issue on the day. I'll get it later this week. I had some issues getting up to the comic shop. It's not happening today, but I'll get it later in the week. Now, getting right into this issue, for me, this issue 147 was a high good. That's the grade I'm going to give it. Borderline great, in my opinion. I know that's not going to be a popular opinion. The first thing I posted on Twitter is I'm calling it already. This is going to be an underrated issue. I just loved it so much, and I get this feeling there's going to be some complaints because nothing happens in it. Even the cliffhanger most likely is going to be not a cliffhanger. It's probably going to get resolved in the first page of the next issue. Although Rick Grimes talking so sweet about Andrea, that was a red flag that, oh shit, man, something might happen to Andrea, which I'll be just as heartbroken as Rick Grimes if something happens to Andrea, I'll tell you that right now. But as we talk about this issue, I'll explain why I thought this issue was a high good, borderline great. Now, to start it off, we do have Eugene, and what surprised me is Eugene did push the issue a lot. I mean, a lot more than I thought. If you guys remember back to my review, I thought Eugene would just come in there with his tail between his legs, pitch this idea. We all know Rick Grimes ain't gonna hurt a child, and he didn't. Yet, Eugene had him, though. I feel like Eugene came in there, he knew what he wanted to do, he had his head on straight, and then he let his emotions build up when he saw the first sign of resistance, like, oh, you know, and he just exploded and things snowballed out of control because Eugene had Rick Grimes on his side. Andrea was like, oh, I don't think she cares for her daughter. Rick was like, no, you didn't see it. I was there. She definitely cares about her daughter. We can do this. But we're not hurting her. You know what I mean? Eugene should have been like, you know what? Fine, it's a child. Who cares? Let's do something and get back at this alpha. Let's make plans now for retribution or revenge. Let's get rid of this enemy. Instead, he flew off the handle, and I so badly wanted Rick to just stop him a minute and say, listen, you fucking coward. You would be a killer too if you weren't such a bitch. You got people killed. Unless I'm mixing up the show and the comic, I'm almost pretty sure Eugene in the comic also got members of his group killed by lying, saying, and I'm not saying like he got him killed like the way Father Gabriel killed his church by locking him out, but people lost their lives trying to take Eugene from one place to Washington, D.C. You know, you got people killed being a coward. You're a killer too, whether he wants to admit it or not. So I felt like Rick should have just approached him and been like, listen, you punk bitch, you know, now it's a little late to man the f*** up. You should have manned up in all-out war. Maybe Abraham would still be alive. Get out of my house. Go cool off and come back. Listen, I liked Eugene last issue. I just think he crossed the line in this issue. And now starting a mob or getting all the residents riled up, I'm hoping that Rick Grimes beats the piss out of Eugene in front of everybody and leaves him in a puddle of blood, and he just says, listen, you will follow me or I'll kill y'all. You know, imagine doing some shit like that. I could see him already in the basement talking with Negan. Negan teaches him or mentors him, devil on your shoulder, about how to put your own people in check, you know, and we get a new leader out of this. That would be epic. Moving on, though. We get the figure, and when they previewed this, I knew immediately it was Michonne, so I was excited about this issue when they previewed it yesterday. But when Michonne sneaks into the house and Rick puts a gun to her, I love this image right here. I love this, man. I was disappointed at Michonne the same as Rick was when he said, Michonne, I'm disappointed, because Michonne tackled her in issue 145, got it out of her system, and it seemed like Michonne knew where she was as far as how Lydia's involved. Now it was like, okay, Michonne's going backwards a little bit, letting her emotions get the best of her, but then I wanted to go through the pages and hug Michonne myself. I wish Rick did. He did eventually, but when she's like, no, you don't understand, talk is getting out of control out there, we need to get her to safety, whoop-de-whoop. I'm like, yeah, that's the Michonne we know and love. The following conversation between Rick and Michonne, you had humor with Michonne telling him put on a t-shirt, then she calls him a dick. It felt real, the conversation itself. It was deep, it was intense, I loved that connection those two characters made in that conversation. If this conversation was on TV, I might have even gotten choked up a little bit. That's how deep it was. Their back and forth alone sealed the deal with this issue. And I tell you what, right now, in the beginning of The Walking Dead, Kirkman always said that he wants this story to be like what happens after the credits roll. Well, I never got that feeling when The Walking Dead started in issue 1, 2, 3, 4, in issue 20, issue 50. Started to get that feeling after a while. Around All Out War, and yeah, it took that long. And then it started to feel like, oh, okay, this is happening well after a movie would already end. But something about the new beginning, especially this issue itself, it just felt like this was them for real, for real. That sounds so stupid now, but for me, it just felt like this was them living in this world after a movie would have long ended. I don't know if I'm getting that out the right way, but if you understand what I'm saying, props to you. But that's how it made me feel reading this. And then we end the issue with Lydia having her anxiety attack, and I think this does say a lot. I know you could be like, oh, this bitch again causing problems, but you gotta understand, Lydia, or you have to remember, Lydia didn't hear what her mother said to Rick. Lydia didn't see her mother crying. Lydia missed all of that. So Lydia doesn't know that her mother got rid of her to protect her. Lydia thinks her mother actually thinks she's a worthless piece of shit. Go back and read it. See what her mother says to her, and then imagine your mother saying that and then getting rid of you. You've been living with her in this tribe, in this community, this whole time after the world collapsed, and now she's like, you are weak, you know, you're gonna hold us down, you are nothing to me, get out of here. Now Lydia is probably thinking, holy shit, you know, I failed my mother somehow. And if this is real, if this isn't just a ploy, or if Lydia's not pulling some other bullshit, now it shows like she's scared to death. And I'm really feeling like the next issue will squash this cliffhanger in the next page or two. I know I've said that once or twice. I know I said that about the Eugene thing, but they went a different direction with it, where the cliffhanger didn't escalate immediately in the next issue. It kind of boiled in the background, or off panel, so to speak. Now this cliffhanger, now I'm betting any money that, and I don't think they would have Lydia gun down Andrea right there. It's just something's off there. I'm hoping it calms down a little bit. I'm hoping the cliffhanger ends in the next issue within a page or two, and we get back to what's going on, and we see maybe a new uprising or a mob forming to take out Rick Grimes. I'm hoping we see Rick Grimes get some advice from Negan on how to put his own people in check, and then I'm hoping Rick Grimes puts his own people in check. Give me one word to describe this issue down in that comment box. For me, I'm going to have to go with powerful. I said that in my tweet, and I still mean it now, reading it twice now. Put your one word in that description, and also tell me your thoughts and opinions about this issue. Put those in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.